This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
The time is 6:15. Here is the news, edited by Anjana Dangoda, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. Sri Lanka affirms commitment to United Nations Secretary-General's accelerated climate agenda. President holds talks with Commonwealth Secretary-General Patricia Scotland. Government allocates 12 billion rupees for purchase of fertilizer for Maha season. Minister of Transport says the time could be reduced of the train bound to Kankasanture from Colombo from 2 hours by next July. The Deputy Speaker says a program must be implemented to provide a stable monthly income for unemployed youth. Foreign news, South Africa faces chicken meat shortage as power crisis bird flu hit producers. Sports news, rower Maheshi secures semi-final spot at Asian Games. Local news in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe, speaking at the Climate Ambition Summit on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly yesterday, affirmed Sri Lanka's commitment to the UN Secretary-General's accelerated climate agenda. The President highlighted the importance of the tangible climate actions and commended the delegates for their valuable suggestions. President Wickremesinghe drew attention to the significant economic consequences of climate-related issues, with experts predicting a 1.5% GDP loss for Sri Lanka by 2050. In response, Sri Lanka has adopted a dual approach to climate ambition. At COP27, the President launched the Climate Prosperity Plan, a strategy for green growth centered on renewable energy generation, leveraging the nation's national advantages in wind and solar power. This initiative aligns with Sri Lanka's economic restructuring following the 2022 financial crisis as the country aims to transition towards a green economy. President Ranil Wickremesinghe held a productive discussion with Secretary-General of the Commonwealth, Patricia Scotland, on the sidelines of the 78th United Nations General Assembly in New York yesterday. The discussions between Sri Lankan President and Commonwealth Chief revolved around crucial aspects of the ongoing cooperation between Sri Lanka and the Commonwealth Secretariat. They also delved into the implementation of decisions made by leaders during the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting held last year in Rwanda. A key focal point of their exchange was the pressing issue of climate change and challenges associated with climate financing, especially for developing nations. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news, the Minister of Agriculture, Mahinda Amaravira, said that the government has decided to allocate 12 billion rupees for the purchase of fertilizer in the Maha season. He said the money will be directed to the farmers' accounts at the rate of 15,000 rupees per hectare. The minister held discussions at the Hector Kobakadu Agricultural Research and Training Institute with the district presidents of the Sri Lanka National Farmers Organization, representing all the 25 districts on the problems faced by the farmers at present. The farmer organizers stated the farming problems in each district, and the minister explained the measures taken by the government to solve those problems. This year, the government will give a subsidy of 15,000 rupees for the purchase of fertilizer for 1 hectare of paddy cultivation, and with that amount, The farmers will be allowed to buy chemical fertilizers or organic fertilizers according to their choice. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena says the time could be reduced of the train bound to Kankasanture from Colombo from 2 hours by next July. The signalling system of the main track will be upgraded, spending $15 million provided by the Indian Credit Line. Signing of the agreement to improve the first section from the Mahabad to Anuradhapura was held at the Ministry of Transport today. As a result of the minister's request to the outgoing Indian High Commissioner, has taken measures to extend the support of providing 20 locomotive engines, and it is expected to reach the island soon. Deputy Speaker Ajit Rajapaksa says a program must be implemented to provide stable monthly income for unemployed youth. He further said for the purpose he would extend the fullest support of the Parliament. The youth must come forward to get the utmost benefit from the drive. This program is expected to support youth between the age of 18 and 30 who are talented and capable yet unemployed. These youth will be given opportunities to learn Korean and Japanese languages and provide occupations in the same countries. The talents such as sports, music, and other performing arts will also be considered. National Youth Services Council will also support this endeavor. The first batch of 1,000 youth will join the event, which would take place at Youth Services Council, Maharagama. That ends local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Veda.
Sri Lankan President, IMF Chief discussed debt restructuring, financial reforms, vital economic issues. Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe met with the Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, on Wednesday on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly in New York to discuss crucial economic issues, including debt restructuring and financial reforms. During the meeting, Ms. Georgieva and President Wickremesinghe delved into the ongoing financial sector reforms and the substantial progress made in debt restructuring initiatives. The IMF Managing Director commended the Sri Lankan government for its effective measures in curbing inflation and nurturing a conducive environment for business growth, as well as the flourishing tourism industry. She expressed her satisfaction with the government's commitment to enhance the overall economic landscape. That ends main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Veda.
On to the watchlight. Education Minister Sushil Premchand announced in Parliament today the 2023 GCE Advanceable Examination has been postponed. He said that the examination department will announce the new dates next week. That ends Watchlight.
World News, brought to you by courtesy of
It's the power to live life your way. The power to be a trendsetter. Power to you with digital banking from Commercial Bank. Commercial Bank. Our interest is in you.
World News headlines first. South Africa faces chicken meat shortage as power crisis, bird flu hit producers. Morocco to spend $11.7 billion on post-earthquake reconstruction plan. Azerbaijan launches operation against Armenian forces in Nagorno-Karabakh. World News in detail. South Africa faces chicken meat shortages in the coming months as a bird flu outbreak and electricity cuts ravage the poultry industry. The country's largest producer, Astral Foods, said today. In a trading update, Astral said it expected to report a headline loss between $0.95 and $0.96 per share in the year to September 30th, compared to the profit of $1.46 last year, mainly due to persistent power cuts. Morocco plans to spend at least $11.7 billion in a post-earthquake reconstruction plan over the next 5 years, the Royal Palace has said, after a 6.8 magnitude earthquake struck on September 8, killing more than 2,900 people, mostly in the high Atlas Mountains. The plan would target 4.2 million people in the worst-hit provinces, the Royal Palace said yesterday, following a meeting of King Mohammed VI with government and army officials. At least 200 people have been killed and over 400 others wounded in a military operation by Azerbaijan in the disputed Nagorno-Karabakh region, according to an official in Armenian-controlled territory. Azerbaijan's defense ministry said it had begun an anti-terrorist campaign in the region. An ethnic Armenian enclave that is internationally recognized as part of the Azerbaijan and which has been the cause of 2 wars between the neighbors in the past 3 decades, most recently in 2020. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. South Africa faces chicken meat shortage as power crisis, bird flu hit producers. Morocco to spend $11.7 billion on post-earthquake reconstruction plan. Azerbaijan launches operation against Armenian forces in Nagorno-Karabakh. That ends World News.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
This message is for all the kids between the ages of 4 and 16 who love to draw. Commercial Bank's Arunalu Sittam is back once again. This time, the competition is also open to Sri Lankan kids currently living abroad. First, second and third place prizes will be awarded along with special merit and merit certificates. For more information, visit the Commercial Bank website. We have so many prizes to be won.
Development News.
State Highway Minister Siripala Gamlat said Sri Lanka hopes to resume suspended road infrastructure projects soon and complete them faster, with the expectation that foreign funds and grants will start after finalizing external debt restructuring and ongoing first review of the IMF program. The unprecedented economic crisis has forced the Sri Lankan government to suspend most of its infrastructure projects due to lack of funding. All bilateral lenders stopped their funding immediately after the island nation declared bankruptcy through defaulting sovereign debts in April last year. Since then, Sri Lanka has not been repaying any foreign debts. That came to you on Development News. Moving on to sports news, Sri Lankan rower Mahesh Liyanage made a historic mark at the 19th Asian Games in Hangzhou by securing a spot in the semi-finals of the women's singles sculls event held at the Fuyang Water Sports Center, Hangzhou, in China yesterday. Competing in a 2,000-meter race, Liyanage completed the course in an impressive time of 8 minutes and 53.68 seconds. Her performance outshone her Saudi Arabian opponent Al-Mami Maya Muhammad, who finished with a time of 9 minutes and 18.16 seconds. The first place in this leg was secured by Chinese Liu Riki with a remarkable time of 8 minutes and 0.74 seconds, while Kuwait's Alpha Khan Saad claimed the second spot with a timing of 8 minutes and 45.30 seconds. That came to you on Sports News.
Go ekakthiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyameta set wenna as wahagena dakapu veena habe karanna youth ekata niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Checks for the winners of the Development Lottery draw were distributed today. The event was held at the headquarters of the Development Lottery Board. Checks were given to 25 winners of rupees 20 lakhs and 23 winners of rupees 10 lakhs as 2 super prize winners as well. That ends business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyameta set wenna as wagena dakapu veena habe karanna youth ekata niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Moving on to economic news, the United States yesterday announced the commitment of more than $19 million in additional funds to further the development of Sri Lanka. The $19.23 million is obligated through the Development Objective Grant Agreement between the United States Agency for International Development and the Sri Lankan government. That ends economic news.
Weather report.
The Met Department says showers or thundershows will occur at times in the western, Sabaragamu and southern provinces. Several spells of showers may occur in the northwestern province. Showers or thundershows will occur at several places in the Uva, central, north central and eastern provinces and in the Vavuniya and Mullaitivu districts during the evening or night. Fairly heavy showers above 50 mm can be expected at some places. That ends weather report. To wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Sri Lanka affirms commitment to United Nations Secretary-General's accelerated climate agenda. President holds talks with Commonwealth Secretary-General Patricia Scotland. Government allocates 12 billion rupees for purchase of fertilizer for Maha season. Minister of Transport says the time could be reduced of the train bound to Kankasanthuri from Colombo from 2 hours by next July. The Deputy Speaker says a program must be implemented to provide stable monthly income for unemployed youth. Foreign news, South Africa faces chicken meat shortage as power crisis bird flu hit producers. Sports news, Rover Maheshi secures semi-final spot at Asian Games. With that, we wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka.